गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुस्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರವೇ ನಮಃ. ಈ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಒನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಸೆವೆಂತ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಚತುರ್ಥಿ ಪಂಚಮಿ ವಿಭಕ್ತಿ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್, isn't it? So some words we have studied. Tila, Dvipa, Nishka. Nishka is a gold coin. Nishka is a gold coin. It is some kind of a coin in those days used for transaction, like a currency. Okay. So Parvata is a mountain, is a Giri, another word we learned. Papa is a two word. Papaha is a adjective. That is a first let us take the Punlinga. If you take Punlinga, Papaha, Papau, Papaha, like Rama Shabda, it means Papi, one who has committed Papa. That means Papaha, Papau, Papaha. That is Punlinga if it is, like Rama Shabda. But if it is taken as a Napunsakalinga, it is Papam that we have studied. But here one more extra is adjective. An adjective is used in both the lingas according to the context. It can be masculine, it can be neuter, because adjective governs the noun. In Sanskrit, an adjective, the linga and vachana. Linga vachana of an adjective follows the linga vachana of the noun. Linga vachana vibhakti. Linga vachana vibhakti of an adjective follows the linga vachana vibhakti of the noun. Okay. Linga vachana vibhakti of an adjective follows the linga vachana vibhakti of the noun. Noun which it qualifies. The noun which the adjective qualifies. For example, prabhutam dhanam, we say. Prabhutani pustakani. Prabhutena dhanena. Prabhutaihi ratnaihi. Like this. So, prabhuta takes the linga, the vachana and vibhakti of the noun which it qualifies. This is Sanskrit style. This again is a specific to Sanskrit, not in any other language. One is word has a gender, not to the meaning. Meaning can be inert object, meaning can be male person, female person, it could be anybody. The word itself has a gender. That's one specific thing about Sanskrit. And second is the adjective. Just now I told. Adjective takes ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀವಾ? Adjective takes the linga vachana vibhakti of same linga vachana vibhakti of the noun which it qualifies. No, I think we didn't say that. We said it differently.
So, linga vachana and vibhakti of an adjective follows the linga vachana and vibhakti of the noun which it qualifies.
Yes, of the same of the noun. Or another words, adjective takes linga vachana vibhakti of the noun which it qualifies. This is a simple statement. This again is a specific to Sanskrit. An adjective cannot remain without some vibhakti, some linga, some vachana. Isn't it? Or adjective can become a samasa. It can be compounded with the word. Then the linga vachana vibhakti won't exist. If you make it an adjective, if you make it a samasa. But if you take it as a separate word, every word must have linga vachana vibhakti. Otherwise, word cannot be used in the language. So, adjective has linga vachana vibhakti. Adjective takes the linga vachana vibhakti, same linga, same vachana vibhakti as that of a noun which it qualifies. So, prabhutam dhanam we say. Now, prabhuta is an adjective. Is prabhuta masculine or feminine or neuter? Pullingava, Napunsakalingava. It depends upon the noun which it will. Prabhutam dhanam. But Prabhutani ratnani. Or Prabhutaha manayaha. If mani being a masculine, Punlinga, and Bahuvachana. Punlinga, Bahuvachana. Therefore, Prabhuta Shabda being an adjective of Manayaha, this also becomes Punlinga first. Prabhutaha, Prabhuta, Prabhutau, Prabhutaha, like Rama Shabda. It is Akaranta. It's like Rama Shabda. The Mani may be Ikaranta. Mani Shabda, should I write it or it is understood? Mani Shabda is a Ikaranta. But Prabhuta is Akaranta. Doesn't matter. So if Mani is Punlinga, Prabhuta becomes Punlinga like Rama Shabda. If instead of Mani, if you say Ratnani, then Prabhuta becomes Napunsakalinga, Prabhutani. See? Prabhutani, Ratnani. So it becomes a Napunsaka. So Prabhuta takes either Punlinga or Napunsakalinga, or any vibhakti, depending upon the nouns vibhakti, it follows. Linga, vibhakti, and vachana also. Ekavachana, bahuvachana, dvivachana. Prabhutani, it is a bahuvachana. Prabhutam single. Prabhutam dhanam. Prabhutani ratnani. Prabhutaha manayaha. Atava prabhutaihi manibhihi. Here you know, you see. Prabhutaihi manibhihi. It is Bahuvachana and Tritiya Vibhakti. And it is a Punlinga. So, and another thing is, Mani is Ikaranta, therefore it takes Manibhihi. But Prabhuta is Akaranta, it becomes Prabhutaihi. It need not become again Ikaranta. It can't take like that. Prabhuta has got its own Akaranta. But in the Akaranta, it follows Punlinga, because since it is Punlinga, it follows Punlinga like Rama Shabda. It is Tritiya, it is Bahuvachana, this also becomes Bahuvachana. It is Tritiya Vibhakti, it becomes Tritiya Vibhakti. When the word is separate, Prabhutaihi Manibhihi. If you use it as a samasa, compound word, Prabhuta Manayaha, then Prabhuta doesn't have any Vibhakti, gender, anything, because all this will be removed. That comes later. Now we are not studying. Since we know Indians, in Indian language, Prabhuta directly. Prabhuta basic word is retained, the Pratipadika. Pratipadika is the substantive. The root word, the basic word is retained, it's a Vibhakti, Linga, Vachana, all that is removed and directly added to Manibhihi. Uttama Purushaha, we say. Athava Uttamena Purushena, Uttamaha Purushaha, Uttamaha Naraha, Uttamani Phalani. See, Uttama is an adjective, is a fluctuating. Noun has got its own gender and Vibhakti Vachana. Adjective is a fluctuating, what you call, Linga Vachana, Vibhakti. Depending upon the noun, it qualifies. Then there is an Avyaya in Sanskrit. Avyaya is a word. Avyaya is an indeclinables in English, they call it. That means it has neither Linga, Vachana, Vibhakti. It is just a fixed form. Like Cha, Na, Api. It's an Avyaya. Avyaya means it doesn't have Vibhakti. It has no Linga. Pullinga, Napunsaka, nothing. It's just a fixed form. Tathapi, Tatha, Yatha, Yatha, Tatha. All these are Avyayas. Verb, noun, and adjective. No, verb, noun, and Avyaya. Only Padatrayam, Swamiji says. Verb, noun, and Avyaya. That's all. 3 padas in Sanskrit. In English, we have got, there are 8, parts of speech. We are saying, Bhasha Bhagaha. We have only Padatraya. In Sanskrit, in Indian languages, only Padatraya. Verbs, nouns. Noun includes adjectives. Noun includes adjective. So, nouns, verb, and Avyaya. That's all. Only 3. Padatrayam. It is our Sanskrit style. Padatrayam. So, Prabhuta follows this thing. But Avyaya is a word which has neither Linga, nor Vibhakti, nor Vachana. And the Linga, Vachana, Vibhakti, Rahitam, Avyayam. See, why do you call in English indeclinable? Declining means Declining means pratipadika, a basic word, when keep on changing its vibhaktis. That means what you call, how to say that? Forming its various forms, modifying into various forms, prathama vibhakti form, dritiya vibhakti form, ekavachana, dvivachana. This taking these forms and developing into, evolving into various forms is called declining. I don't know why declining. I call it evolving. Why don't you say? I don't know. They call it devolving, into declining it. Pratipadika, by taking vibhakti pratyaya, linga and vachana. Linga, vachana, vibhakti, does it declining means coming down? No, giving up Allah. Declining means, how to say that? Kshina vagavad. Is it kshina vagutta idea, evolve vagutta idea? But he says declining. We shouldn't say declining, we should say unevolving or evolving. It evolves into other forms. It evolves into other forms. So a pada which has no evolution further, it remains fixed. And he says it is not declinable, is called indeclinable, avyaya. Vyaya means what you call kshina. I am not getting an English word. Avyaya means it degrades. It declining only, degrading. So that means from its position it comes down. It comes down, diminishes. So that is called declining it. So when it changes into other forms, he calls it declining. Because I think he is translating that vyaya. A pada which undergoes vyaya, it doesn't undergo vyaya, therefore avyaya. He is literally translating it. Therefore indeclinable means avyaya. Avyaya means a mula pada changes its vibhakti, vachana, etc. Even verb also, dhatu also undergoes changes. Dhatu develops into vartamana kala, and then uttama purusha, madhyama purusha, and ekavachana, dvivachana, bahuvachana, and past tense. Various tenses it modifies. It develops, it changes into, it develops its forms into other forms. The main dhatu itself changes its form, evolves into various forms. So therefore, dhatu also evolves, noun also evolves, but adjective also evolves. So that which in Sanskrit, adjective and noun is not separated. In English, adjective is taught separately and noun is taught separately. In parts of speech, noun is taught separately, and there also again adverb and interjection and then prepositions. Adverb, interjection, prepositions, they are three. We can, according to Sanskrit, adverb, interjection and preposition, all the three can be combined into avyayas. All the three are avyayas because they have no modifications further. So we have got, Sanskrit has its own classification. Anyway, so this is about the adjective. Therefore, papa word, if you take it as a punlinga shabda, it is papaha, papau, papaha. If you take only napunsakalinga, it is papam. Papam means the sin or the evil. Papam is papam alone. Sin is not a right word, but anyway, in Indians start using it, therefore I have used it. Otherwise, papam is papam alone, or evil also it means. So, it is an evil. He says the sinful. Sinful andre papatmaka. Papa rupa it is. So therefore, then if you use it as an adjective, it is an adjective to the noun and takes the linga, vachana, vibhakti according to the noun. Okay, proceed with the next word. Okay, then papa word is over. Then thereafter, prasada. Prasada is a palace. Palace means only king's palace. See, two things are there. There are some big houses of rich people. That is harmya in Sanskrit we call them. Harmya is a big houses of rich people. But a palace, it belongs to only king. Rich people cannot, we call them, don't call palace. Isn't it? Similarly, it is a prasada, that is a harmya. Prasadas kings use, and nrupatayaha. Nrupas have prasadas, and rich people, dhanikas, have got harmyas. Harmyam, big houses. Okay, so prasad. Bhritya we have already learnt kinkara. Bhritya, kinkara. Bhritya is servant. Then mashaha. Mashaha is a, masha, where does it come? Masha, Mesha, Masha. I think no. Masha is in Vedika Yajna, somewhere they use them. Masha is a black gram. Uddu they call you. In idli and dosa you use them masha. That modaka. Modaka is any sweet meat. Any sweet we call sweet only, that's all. Sweet is adjective. It is a sweet meat. Sweet meat we should not call it what you call eatable, edible sweet or some sweet item. A sweet meat is an English word, old English. I think nowadays nobody is using. It is a sweet item. Some sweet item or sweet generally they call it. Sweet itself means something, a sweet dish. Sweet dish. Modern English we should call it a sweet dish, not sweet meat. A sweet dish. An item which is sweet. An eatable item which is sweet. Okay. Modaka. Modaka hasta. Then in our people, that Vinayaka, it's a particular sweet alone is called modaka. You know modaka, what they call it? They make with a, what you call a hittu, with a flour. They make it something like a thing, and in the stomach they stuff it with some stomach. And that particularly used for Vinayaka alone. They call it modaka. We call him modaka hasta Vinayaka. Modaka hasta. Modaka hasta. Yachaka. Yacha dhatu ide. Yacha means to beg. Yachati. So that one who begs is called a yachaka, mendicant, or a beggar. Next is loka. Loka we have already stated, I think. Loka is people. Loka can means world. Vadaha is killing. Vadaha is killing. Vada is there in Indian languages. Varaha is also there. Varaha is sukaraha. Varaha. All these things are known to us. And Kiri. Kiri we have come across. Kiri is a wild boar generally. Kiri is a wild boar. That means a boar, what you call, a pig lives in wild pig, which lives in forest. Wild pig is very ferocious and very powerful compared to this. But in a tall also. Is a tall, it looks like a buffalo, and it comes with such a speed, my God, only it can take on even a lion also. It fights with a lion. What happened? Not working?
Working, sir.
Okay. So the wild boar. So here Varaha, Kiri, and Sukara. These are the many words in Sanskrit. Sukara is also known in Indian languages, but Varahavatara is well known to us. Varaha. Okay. Then Vinayaha. Vinayaha is modest. Vinayaha is modesty. Modesty means humility and humbleness. Yeah, that is humility. Modest person and a very humble person. Not very pretending. Pretending means not very arrogant. Pretension means arrogance they call. See, the words are very... In fact, pretension andre show. Pretending means acting, showing. But the pretension is used as an arrogance. For arrogance, pretension word is used. Some words are very difficult to understand in English. Anyway, so Vinaya is modesty. A humble person, modest person means it doesn't act, it doesn't boast, it doesn't show up a lot, but a simple, humble person. Vinayam, like that. Correct. So Vinaya. Shikhara. Shikhara means like a temple's shikhara, we call them shikhara, or a mountain's shikhara. For anything shikhara. A mountain or a temple, for anything is a shikhara, top or summit. Parvata shikharam. Parvata shikhara. Shikhara. This is Punlinga Shabda. Shikharaha, shikharau, shikharaha. Then Sarthaha. Sartha is a... Sarthavaha is a word used in what you call in kavyas. Sartha is a caravan. Caravan means a group of businessmen, a trader, merchant. A group of merchants in those days, because traveling was difficult, there were no vehicles, they would go by horses or bullock carts. So roads were not like well protected roads nowadays. Even now these days also is not safe. They have to go through forests. So it's very difficult. When you carry something, there is a fear of robbery. So they would go in a huge numbers of 40-50 people. Servants, and they carry the food items. In those days they would not buy easily. So they would get a ration. They would carry the ration. Of course, saude, the cooking, what you call them? Wood, firewood would be easily available in forest anywhere. Stones would be, you make a stove and then do it Indian way. You put the stones, 3 stones, and then put dry sticks, and then light the fire, and then it will be this thing. Only carry some vessels and ration, and then other business items. They would put the bullock cart and horses and then go in a very large group of people in those days, because that was the safety, protection. So therefore Sartha is a group of traders traveling. Sarthavaha. So Sartha, a caravan or a crowd he is calling. In general you call crowd also, but it's not a crowd, it's generally a caravan. Okay. ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಿಗಳ ಗುಂಪು ಹೇಳಬಹುದಾ ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ? ಓಕೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇನಾಪತಿ. ನೌ ವಿ ಲರ್ನ್ಡ್ ಅಧಿಪತಿ, ಸೇನಾಪತಿ. ಬೋತ್ ಆರ್ ಇಕಾರಾಂತ ಪುಂಲಿಂಗ ಲೈಕ್ ಹರಿಶಬ್ದ. ಸೇನಾಪತಿ, ಸೇನಾಪತಿ. ಸಿ ಹಿಯರ್ ವರ್ಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಪತಿ ಇಫ್ ಸಪರೇಟ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಎ ಪೂರ್ವ ಪದ, without a previous pada. If pati itself is used, it won't follow like hari, its forms will be different.
Okay.
If it is in samasa, adhipati, senapati, gruhapati, or whatever deshapati, if you use some a samasa pada, then that pati word is declined. Declined means made forms like haripada, hari. Otherwise it is different. So adhipati we have learnt, now it is a senapati. Senapatayah we call them. Then Sainika. Patti we have learnt. Patti is a foot soldier. Sainika is a general soldier. Sainika. Sena. Sena ki sambandhapattidu Sainika. Okay, next word. Ajnanam. Ajnanam is ignorance. What is ignorance? He defines beautifully. We'll see that. He defines adhyasa is avidya. Bhandarkar is a very strange thing. He doesn't say Mula Vidya is avidya. He says Adhyasa is avidya. When I heard first time, I was surprised. He's calling Adhyasa is avidya, not Mula Vidya. Adhyasa is avidya. He defines it that way. Let us see. Strange. So, Ajnanam is ignorance. Akasha. But Akasha is both the lingas. In what you call Amarakosha, Akasha is a Punlinga, Akasha is a Napunsakalinga. That means like Rama Shabda, Akasha, Akashau, Akasha, like Phalam, Akasham, Akashe, Akashani. Both you can use it. So either up to first two vibhaktis alone, third vibhakti onward both are same. In first, this difference in masculine and in Punlinga and Napunsakalinga occurs only in first two vibhaktis. Akasha, Akashau, Akashaha. Akasham, Akashau, Akashan. That's all. Tritiya is same. But in Napunsakalinga, Akasham, Akashe, Akashani. Then Akasham, Akashe, Akashani. Same thing. Napunsakalinga both are same. Only in first two vibhakti. Third vibhakti onwards both are same. Okay. Asanam. Asanam is a seat. Asanam, Udyanam. Asanam is a seat. Asanam is like phalam, phale, phalani. Asanam, asane, asanani. Asanam is a seat. Okay. Next is Udyanam. Udyanam is a tota. Tote or tota? Tota only. So tota, garden. Udyanam. So Udyanam, Udyane, Udyanani. Okay. Then Kalyanam. Kalyanam is welfare or goodness, something good. Hitam. Hitam Allah. I think what do you call? You call Hitam only? Hita is Kalyana is Hita. Okay, Hitam is welfare or good. Shreyas. In Telugu we call Shreyas. Something Shreyas, something good. That is called Kalyanam, Kalyane, Kalyanani. In Tamil Nadu, in Tamil language, Kalyanam means marriage. Kalyanam means marriage. But we say Kalyanam means something good. Kalyanam is marriage. Because in I think in Sitarama Kalyanam alone we use it. Kalyanam Achi, they call it Kalyanam Tamil. But in North India, Kalyana means moksha. Atma Kalyan. Kalyan means moksha. Something great, Purushartha, Uttama Purushartha. Moksha, Sadgati, Adake Kalyan. Sadgati or Moksha ko Kalyan in Hindi. There is a magazine, monthly magazine coming from Gita Press, Gorakhpur. The very name of the magazine is Kalyan. Kalyan means South Indians, we shouldn't think that it is marriage. It means Sadgati or even Moksha, some such thing. It is called Kalyan. They say, अब क्या चाहते हैं? साधक हो तो मैं तो आत्म कल्याण चाहता हूँ. आत्म कल्याण यानी मोक्ष, सद्गति, मोक्ष, उत्तम स्थिति is called कल्याण. Same Sanskrit word, when it goes into Indian other languages, slightly the connotation somewhat changes. But prevalently, Tamil Nadu Kalyanam means marriage. They have no other word. They use only Kalyanam for. But here, you have got a Kalyanam Maduve, but Kalyanam also we use it more in a sophisticated word, in a bookish, Grantika Bhasha. In a literary Kannada alone we use, but in a spoken word, Maduve helbirtane. Allave. So, Kalyanam, Parvati Kalyanam, Shiva Parvati Kalyanam, Ade Parvati Kalyanam, Athava Sitarama Kalyanam, those things they use them. I think these Kalyanams more came from probably Tamil Nadu, I don't know. I don't know. Tamil Vaishnava culture, that's why Kalyanam Pada came. Kalyanam is marriage. Kalyanam, correct. So then it is a Kusuma. Kusuma is a flower. Kusuma is Napunsakalingam. Okay, all these things are Napunsaka only we are talking. Only Akasha we have told it is an additionally masculine also. All others are Napunsakalinga only. Kusumam, Kusume, Kusumani. Pushpam also Napunsaka. Pushpam, Pushpe, Pushpani. Pushpa, Kusuma, both are same. Kusumam, Kusume, Kusumani. Pushpam, Pushpe, Pushpani. But there will be Ani comes. Pushpani. Okay. Pushpani. They say them Pushpani Samarpayami. They say that. Pushpani. Sugandha Parimala Dravyani. They say Sugandha Parimala Dravyani Samarpayami. Samarpayami. Arpayami, there is Dashamagana Dhatu. Sam is Upasarga. Sam Arpayami. Arpayami, Samarpayami, Arpayami, Arpayamaha, what is that? Arpayamaha, Arpayati, Arpayataha, Arpayanti, Aham Arpayami. I am offering it. Samarpayami, like that. So, whatever say, Pushpani Samarpayami, Akshatan Samarpayami, like this, all these things they say. Pushpani, Sugandha Parimala Dravyani, like that. Vastram Padam has come. Vastrani or Vastram Samarpayami, like that. To Kusumam. That's why I told we should teach the Sanskrit with the prevalent words already known to us. Certain proverbs are known, certain names, Indian names, our names are known, like even God's name, temple name, towns and cities, and your and my name. Dehali, Dilli comes from Dehali. Dehali is Hostilu. Dehali is Strilinga Shabda like Nadi. Like this, Nagaram is a Napunsakalingam. Nagaram, Nagare, Nagarani. Gramaha, Punlingam. That's why I told with the prevalent words, names, and then what you call proverbs, and he goes Puja Adikalikam, Samarpayami, Puja Dravyani, etc. With this alone you teach Sanskrit. If more than 50% Sanskrit comes, then the remaining Sanskrit you teach it. You don't feel that you are learning Sanskrit. Already known to you from. That's why I told we need a book from our mother tongue. Start with mother tongue. All Indians. A book should be written to learn Sanskrit through your mother tongue, whether Hindi or even Tamil. Tamil also has got plenty of Sanskrit words. Through that Sanskrit word you learn half of the Sanskrit, and remaining half you learn. It becomes so easy. So easy. Even Sandhi, Samasas, all of them we find here. Gruha Pravesha is Samasa. Gruha and Pravesha, Samasa combine. Samasas also we find them. Sita Rama Kalyanam is a Samasa. Oh. Panchamaha Yajna is a Samasa. All these words are known to us. So the familiar terms which are familiar, therefore we shouldn't learn first principle or a grammar. Learn the word, through word teach grammar. Familiar words. Familiar words and slightly derive other words, join them or split them, like that. Grammar also through the familiar. Like Gunasandhi, what is that? Venkateshwara, you remember. What is it? Rameshwaram, Venkateshwaram. Rameshwara is well known. What is the Sandhi there? Rama plus Ishwara. Venkata plus Ishwara, Venkateshwara. That's all. Then there you see, A, E becomes A. Now do you need to remember, memorize it and principle? It is very well known. Like Gangodakam. Ganga plus Udakam, Gangodakam, all like that. Deshodharaha, Deshodharaka, in Telugu we say. Desha plus Uddharaka, Deshodharaka, Gunasandhi. Maha plus Rishihi, Maharshihi. From these three words, now put together, see what changes. A followed by E, A followed by U, A followed by Ru. Changes to A, O, R. No, A, O, R. But these three you remember, this is Gunasandhi. Instead of remembering the principle, remembering the three examples. Put them three together and derive. By looking at them, you derive the principle. First teaching the principle and then example, I feel this is not the right. You give the example, 3 examples, and see what is the common. In fact, I felt the same thing. In my Panini book also I did the same. First you see Rama plus Ishvara, Venkata plus Ishvara. What is happening? A followed by E. What is changing E? Gangodakam, Deshodharaha. Deshodhara is there in Kannada? Deshodhara, Gangodakam. Innu irabod more. Gangodakam. Ushnodakam. Ushna plus Udakam, Vishnodakam, Gangodakam. Like that. So this in what happened? Uttama plus Udakam, Ganga plus Udakam, O, A plus O, changing to O. A plus Ru, R. Now you have 3. Now you derive the rule. A followed by E, A followed by U, or A followed by Ru. That means A followed by E, U, Ru changes to A, O, R. And Al also we can use that. Now we have derived the principle from the examples. Do you feel any difficulty in it?
No.
It's simple. This is what they told. Guna Sandhi means A followed by E, U, Ru, Lu changes respectively A, O, or Al. Change we have seen already. What is that difficult? Otherwise you tell A followed by E changes to A. A followed by E changes to A. You only see A, only that much. Example, after explaining elaborately for 10 minutes, then you give one example. And that too unfamiliar example. Give the very familiar. In people's names, you see the many people's names, Hudagara names, or boys' names, girls' names, plenty of examples you find them. Sandhi, Samasa, all that in that. Mahonnati. Padonnati we call for promotion in Telugu. Pada Unnati. Padonnati is a common word. Padonnati means promotion in the job. Immediately I don't remember. They are familiar. The familiar words we should put them in one place. Padonnati. How it is? Pada plus Unnati. Padonnati. In the Pada you get a what you call a hike. Unnati. Vetana Unnati. Vetana Unnati. Like that. So here you see Padonnati, A plus U becomes O. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ? ಉತ್ಸವ. ಏನು ಉತ್ಸವ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ? ಮಹೋತ್ಸವ. ಮಹಾ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಉತ್ಸವ, ಮಹೋತ್ಸವ. ಇನ್ನೇನು ಉತ್ಸವ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ? ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಉತ್ಸವ, ಕಲ್ಯಾಣೋತ್ಸವ. ರಥೋತ್ಸವ. ರಥ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಉತ್ಸವ. See, immediately I am not getting. That's why I am told it's difficult. When you remember them, note down all these examples in one place. So that when you write a grammar book or when you teach grammar becomes easy. Otherwise, you keep on searching for example. Ultimately, I think I have not brought any notebook. Somewhere I should note down all these words. You note down all these words in one place. Gangodaka, Ushnodaka, Deshodharaka, Padonnati, Rathotsava. Here you see A followed by U changes to O. ಈಗ for E changing to A, Rameshwara, Venkateshwara, other we have to see. Maheshwara, Ramesh we call general people. Ramesh, Rama plus Ishwara, Rameshwara. Ramesh. Vishweshwara we call. Vishwa plus Ishwa, Vishwesha. Mahesh, Vishwesh, Devesh, all these things are same. So this is where the common words which are familiar, you see them. In all these things you see one common pattern. A joining with E becoming O. A joining with O becoming O. We see them very familiar. You derive the principles rather than teach ready-made principle. This is a wrong education system. Principle means who derived the principle? Already you watched it, now you are imposing this thing. This is not the way. These people say we have to do scientific research and all that. You say, you give these words and see them what is common. You see, just now we have narrated all these things. Rathotsava, what you call, Mahotsava, Unnati, Mahonnati. So all these things you put them and see what is common in all these words. Ask the fellow, let him watch. Let him watch and discover himself. Oh, he says, A followed by U changing to O. Then another group of words. A followed by E changing to A. Oh, this is the same thing. So let him discover. You give the words. These are all familiar words. Why it is becoming like that? You watch yourself and tell me. Rama, Isha, Ramesha. Why this thing? So he is discovering, and his brain also will be sharp and he will understand it. But the traditional method is you already tell a followed by a followed by e vu ru lu, what you call ik, a followed by ik changes to a wong I ouch h, like this. No, a wong and ar allad bere, eng and this thing. So adeng gunaha, like this they put it. So guna they call. So only first you learn abstract letters and then look for the example. One example alone. Why give one? Give familiar.
True.
Therefore, from the drishtanta you derive the principle. Give the words and let him discover. See, there is a common feature in them. Oh, this is the law. Then where is guna? It becomes, they say, oh, Sanskrit is difficult because of grammar. Then somebody was telling, oh, which language has no grammar? Every language has a grammar. Don't be afraid of that. Don't criticize Sanskrit is difficult because of its grammar. Every language has a grammar. Which language has no grammar? Therefore, don't criticize. Don't say that Sanskrit is difficult for grammar. Grammar is not difficulty. The way of teaching grammar is difficulty. See, you are teaching the very grammar first principle and then go to the example. One example. You give them 10 or familiar words. Still we have to remember when we are reading and we are suddenly certain words occur, all note down in one place. So plenty of examples in one place. Ask him to watch. He will see there is a pattern. In fact, what is science? We see them one isolated events and see them what is running a common feature in all this thing. Oh, then how often it is occurring? Every 10th one is that. Oh, that means every 10th one is happening. So this is what a repetition at every 10th one. Every 10th day. Every 7th day the same thing comes. That means 7 days a week. This is how we observe and discover. Same thing. Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Saturday. Then again Sunday is coming. Then why Sunday? You watch them. Oh, every 7 days it coming in. Oh, that means the 7th day. That means the 7 days one set. This is how we discover. Ask him to discover. He will discover himself. And it is a good play and good interesting also. And you don't feel Sanskrit is difficult. Words are familiar in your life. I think grammar can be made easiest by doing like this. True. Even Sanskrit also becomes easy if you teach from your mother tongue. And mother tongue, the familiar words of names. See, Samarpayami, do puja every day, you do them generally. You see, Pushpani Samarpayami, what is it? Patrani Samarpayami. Patrani, you already learning there. Pushpani, you learn the Napunsakalinga, Bahuvachana, you learn them. Pushpani, we don't know what is, but Samarpayami. What is Samarpayami? That is Uttam Purusha Ekavachana, he doesn't know. But Samarpayami, he knows. So, Samarpaya, me, vaha, maha, you had it. Oh, Samarpayami, it is like that. From this, you learn it. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Illi Samarpayami. See, Samarpayami Gacchami. Oh, this is familiar. Already words are known to us. This, oh, Sanskrit, I can't understand. I don't want Sanskrit. Oh, it's difficult. Oh, you're difficult. Who told you? Britishers. Sanskrit is difficult. Therefore, it is a dead language. Re-repeat it. Oh, it's a dead language. Why should we learn? It is not a dead language. It is a language attempted to be killed. But it didn't die. Though there is a lot of effort made by Britishers and their followers to kill it, yet it did not die. That is a dead language. Dead language means this is the definition we have to give. But in our language we use Buddham Sharanam Gacchami and all these things we use them. We use the Samarpayami, all these are familiar to us. We have to search some more words we may find. Kusumani. Then next is Kshetram. Netram we have already learnt. Netram, Netre, Netrani, Kshetram, Kshetre, Kshetram. Kshetram means a field. Field means in that what you call Hola Gaddala in the agricultural field one what you call one part with some what you call wall or bund mannininda. Beli allappa. Beli is a creeper you are calling. Creeper Allah. How do you say that? Bund we call them. This what you what do you call the walls around? Small walls. Bund.
I don't remember.
Katta Telugunalli. Polam katta we call it. Katta, katte, katti. What? Katte helta. That is something like that. Katte. Like that. Means that border ಕಟ್ಟೆ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಎತ್ತರದ ಬಾರ್ಡರ್ ಕಟ್ಟೆ ಇರಲ್ಲವಾ, this portion is called field.
Okay.
So you see them, all of them, because to hold water, they make into small bunds and small pieces, so that water can be held. Otherwise, a huge 1 acre, 2 acres water cannot be held. Otherwise, pour the water, all over it goes away. Therefore, they make into small things, and the small, they are called field. Is a kshetram. Each one is a kshetram, like that. That krishakasya kshetram. Then you say dhanya kshetram, and what you call that, whatever the kshetram. Then dharma kshetre, ತೀರ್ಥ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಂ, ಯುದ್ಧ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಂ, ಇವಿದು ಕೃಷಕಾನಾಂ ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಂ, ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಂ. ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ವರ್ಡ್. ಧರ್ಮಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ, ಪುಣ್ಯಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ, ತೀರ್ಥಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ. ತೀರ್ಥಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ ಹೇಳ, ಪುಣ್ಯಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಎ ಭೂಮಿ, ಎನ್ ಏರಿಯಾ, ಎ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಪುಣ್ಯಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಂ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್, ಯುದ್ಧ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಂ. ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್ ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೆನಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಜಾಡ್ಯಂ. Jadyam means jadatvam. Jada means a sluggishness, dullness. This is sluggishness or dullness. Jadyam. Jnanam. Ajnanam we have seen now. It now is jnanam, is knowledge. Tarakam. Tarakam is a nakshatra. What you call it? Nakshatra only. Tarakam a star. Padam a step. Palvalam. Time up. Nearing. Okay. Palvalam is a puddle. A small pond or a puddle. Small pond or a puddle means a small pond contains some little water. A small pond, small, just we can cross it, or this is called puddle. That's called palvalam. Palvalam means like that, what you call, hog ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಪ್ಪ, ಹಂದಿ. Pigs and others, they just live in that small ponds, like a dirty water. That's a called ponds. In rainy season, all on the road also small ponds it forms a small ponds, gundi, and then water remains. That's called pond. That's called puddling. That's called puddle. A small pond or a puddle. That's called palvala. On the road also a small gundi, a small ditch, and then the water stays there. That is called palvala. Palvalam. Then bhojanam. These are all napumsakalinga. Palvalam, palvale, palvanani. Bhojanam, bhojane, bhojanani. Bhojanam is taking food. Maunam, maune, maunani, silence. Then yojanam. Earlier kroshaha punlinga, yojanam napumsakalinga. Yojanani. You see the old novels we were reading in childhood. There are number of old novels, old stories in Sanskrita, and as well as in Indian languages also. Stories, some kind of a novel type stories. Nama Indian literature fellows, I don't know what their mindset is. They don't accept that a novel existed before. Kadambari existed before. But Kadambari itself is a novel. Samskrita word Kadambari is a kavya. Do you know that? Kadambari is a Samskrita kavya. It's a huge kavya. It's like a novel. It's like your non-modern novel. Our name alone, your Kannadas have used Kadambari. Kadambari is a kavya in Sanskrit.
Okay.
It's a novel. It's a highly poetic. Prose it is a prose, but it is a language is beautiful, highly literary story. So from that alone you started calling Kadambari. But they say novel is a piece of literature we learnt from Europe alone. But we had plenty of stories even before. Story type from some kind of a novel type books we had it. Kadambari was ancient alone. Like that, in our Telugu, Kannada, Hindi also we have got old type of story books. Story means not simple story, big book like novel type. Their dialogues and Sambhashana goes on, stories, narration in between dialogues. Dialogues and narration, and dialogues narration, a kind of a Kadambari style it goes on. Kadambari means a novel type. It existed. So we used to read our olden days Kadambaris, olden days novels in our childhood. This modern all goes, all modern Western style, modern Western language, Western ways, all this Western style like a filmy style. But olden days we could see them. There you could see this kind of language.
Okay.
All this language, all this story. You can see them, the culture also. In the old one, you'll see the culture, the people, when you go to the visitors, guests come at home and functions, when you go out, visit people, all the relationships, their castes, their professions, they ask their caste, their professions, their marriages, etc. All that goes in an old style. Old style Varna Ashramam, but still is the Kadambaris. All those Kadambaris should be translated. And we Hindus are such rogues, I tell you, I'm sorry to say. I seen some of them, we have got some old Telugu novels like that. They are republished now. I've been looking for it because I wanted to read, because in childhood days, whatever you read, you have some. But it is all full of culture, old culture. But live a normal life. Like Panchatantram, all that was stories like that. Now what they are doing is, two things they are doing. One is making it a modern spoken language. Earlier it was a Granthika language, a chaste, beautiful language, full of Sanskrit words and all. They are making it too much, simplifying it and making it a too superficial language. That is one spoiling it. But they are changing the stories. Wherever there is a Varna Vyavastha, they are disturbing all that. Because they are feeling guilty, all that is wrong. Old story, how can you interfere? If you take Ramayana and change the whole thing and publish and call it, this is Valmiki Ramayana, nobody will accept it. But why are they interfering in these old stories? All in Telugu I am seeing, they reprint them, they change the whole things, they change the language and change the stories and events. In the Varna Vyavastha is their whole thing, they disturb it. And they write anything they liked. Old stories, I don't know, I have not read any in Kannada. Old, 2 centuries old before Britishers came. All these were written in earlier days. 2 or 3. Some of them are existed in Sanskrit also. They imitated from Sanskrit. Some of them are exist in Sanskrit, even the Sanskrit novels are there. So they have imitated in Telugu, or some of them are written in Telugu. But they all reflect our ancient culture of 2 centuries ago. How the culture was, how people were living, their agriculture, different professions, businessmen, etc., Brahmana, kings, their life, etc. It looks very good. It presents their culture, their values, their interactions, everything. Their purushartha, their way of living, good and bad, their weaknesses. In the weaknesses, how they behave, how others punish them. All these things, stories exist. All that is lost. I say, without disturbing them, you translate them, all of them, as it is. You translate them, only language should be English, but retain that old culture. Then people will understand how beautiful it is. So people can read it. Now, as if we say that we read only European alone, now only we get only 20th century novels alone. We think novels are only 20th century product. Before that, we didn't have. Even in Telugu, they say, oh, first novel came in the 20th century, early 20th century, first decade, this is the one. He is the only founder of our Telugu novel, they say. Pioneer of Telugu novel. Before that, they didn't. But it existed, they don't bother. This is how the westernized think. Anyway, okay. So, if you read the old, in the old books, they say Yojana, course. They would say that, oh, I'm going for this village. How far is it? He asks, 2 course ide. They say 2 courses. Or 3 yojanas, they say. All these things, words are familiar to us. 3 yojanagalu, 3 yojanas, they would say. Oh, 3 yojanas only, next to town. Walks and reaches the place. Like that. Thrilling and interesting stories, I tell you, once you hold it, you won't feel like giving it up. Old stories are very interesting. I looked for them. They changed the language, changed the stories. Partly available, partly spoiled. I'm looking for old editions. But it is a Granthik Telugu. But they should be translated into English. The moderners can read them. Okay. The Rajyam, kingdom. Rajyam is kingdom. Then Vanam Vane Vanani, like Phalam Phale Phalani, forest. Then Shatam. Shatam Shate Shatani. Shatam is 100. Shatam is Napunsakalinga. Not plural. Shatani, if you say many hundreds, it becomes. Shatam itself is 100, but it is a Napunsakalinga. 100, Shatam, Ekam Shatam, like that. We have to say. Okay. Simhasanam. Asanam we have studied, and this is Simhasanam. Asanam, Asane, Asanani, Simhasanam. Then Swakrutyam. Swa, one's own. Krutyam, duty. Krutyam means Kartavyam. Swakrutyam, one's duty. Okay. Now the Pullinga Shabdas, Napunsakalinga Shabdas are over. Now one adjective, Muka. Papa we have learnt one. Papa adjective, Muka. Muka is different from Mauna, you must have watched. Maunam, Maune, Maunani is different. Muka is adjective, it can be in any linga. Muka is silent again. Okay. Now coming to the verbs. Gachati, Gam Gachati, we have studied it. Earlier one more, Avagachati, we have studied. Okay. Then now we are adding Adhigachati. Adi means to obtain. Padukolluvadu. Adhigachati. Adhigachati. Andre padukollu. To obtain. Then Pratya. Prati and A combinedly joined. Prati plus A is there. You look at there, not look at me. Prati plus A 2 you combine. Pratya. Illi Yanadesha Sandhi. Prati plus A Pratya. Gachati. Pratya Gachati andre returns. See, Gachati goes. Agachati comes. Avagachati understands. Adhigachati obtains. Pratyagachati returns. Gachati goes. Say.
Gachati goes.
Agachati comes. Pratyagachati returns. Hogi bartane. Goes and comes back. Returns. Pratyagachati. So Gachati, Agachati, Pratyagachati. Gachati goes. Agachati comes. Pratyagachati returns. Then Avagachati knows, understands. Then Adhigachati obtains, gets. Gets or obtains. Getting, obtaining, like that. Okay. Then Yachati. Yachati gives. Gives we have learnt. Da Yachati. Yachati, Prati, if you add the Upasarga, Prati Yachati. Yachati gives, exchange. Yachati gives, Prati Yachati means gives in return of something else. Andre ಒಂದು ತಗೊಂಡು ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ. Having taken one, he gives it. He gives in return for something. Exchanging. Prati Yachati. Yachati, Prati Yachati. Yachati gives, Prati Yachati gives in return for something. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ತಗೊಂಡು ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ. Take something else in return for it. Next, Bhaja. Bhaja is Bhaja Govindam. Bhajati. Bhajati is only Prathama Vibhakti. So Bhajati to worship. Yajati we have learnt. Pujayati we have learnt. It is Bhajati. Yajati, Bhajati, Pujayati. All three almost mean same. So Bhajati, Bhajataha, Bhajanti. Next. Bhu, Bhavati we have learnt. For that he is adding Ut. Uddu Upasarga if you add. Ud plus Bhavati, Udbhavati. Huttuttade. Udbhavati. Udbhavati andre huttuttade. Udbhavati andre results. It results. So if you do these things, this will be the result of it. Or somebody is produced, a thing is produced. Udbhavati to be produced. Udbhavati can mean resulting also. Okay. To be born or to result. To be born or to result. Then Sthatishtati. Sthatishtati ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ. ಉತ್ತಿಷ್ಠತಿ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸ್ಥಾತಿಷ್ಠತೆ ಕಲಿತಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಸ್ಥಾತಿಷ್ಠತಿಗೆ ಉತ್ತು he is adding now here. Ut plus tishtati, uttishtati. Sthatishtati stays. Uttishtati rises up. Uttishtati, see, to get up or to rise. Okay. Now one more Disha. Disha is the sixth conjugation. Aranaya Gana. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಉಪ ಸೇರಿಸಿಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ಉಪದಿಶತಿ. Upadisha andre to teach and advise. There is no word advise in Sanskrit. There is no word for advising. There is no word for offering. Two things I told you. For offer there is no word. To become there is no word. You like make a list of them somewhere in the notebook or in the book as you like it. I think Nana. 3 words are not there. What are they? One is to become. And to possess. To possess or to have. Isn't it? Possess or have. For this, see, even ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. He has it ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ವೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಬುಕ್? he has it. ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದೆ? ಅವರ ಹತ್ತಿರ ಇದೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಹೊರತು ಅವರಿಗಿದೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರ ಹತ್ತಿರ ಇದೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಹೊರತು he has it ಏನಾದರೂ ಇದೆಯಾ? To have it, to possess it. ಪದ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಲ್ಲಿ to have it, to have, he has it, to have it. ಹ್ಯಾವ್ಗೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡು. ಯು ಕಾಂಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಇಟ್. ಅವರ ಹತ್ತಿರ ಇದೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಬಟ್ ಹಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಿ? ಆಫರ್. ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನೋ ಆಫರ್. ಗಿವ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಸಮರ್ಪಯಾಮಿ ಹೇಳಬಹುದು ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಅರ್ಪಯತಿ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಆಫರ್. ಅರ್ಪಯತಿ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಆಫರ್ ಈಸ್ ದೇರ್, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್. But yachati samarpayati is slightly different. I think arpayati may be closer to offer. Is arpayati. Arpayati means even that also giving only. Okay, one more thing. Just now we have wrote advice. For advice there is no word. There is only teach. Upadishati. Teaching is Upadesha, teaching is advising. That's why in Hindi people brought Urdu words here. Salah, Mashawara, they call it. Because there is no advice word in Sanskrit. Upadesha only. Upadesha andre, we have made it Upadesha andre, Guru's Upadesha to disciple. We made Upadesha is a more a sacred word. So advice we don't want to use. Though Sanskrit uses, we don't want to use it. So what they told, they brought Urdu words. So salah karna, salah dena, salah mashwara karna, because that advice word is not there. So wherever that Sanskrit word has this meaning also. But in Indian language, we fixed it to one meaning. For other meaning, we borrowed from other languages. So these 4 words we don't have in Sanskrit. Becoming, we don't have. Possessing or having, we don't have. Offer, we don't have. Advice, we don't have. Okay. When you have to use them, you use other words. Other words means words which have other meanings, which are well known in other meanings, has this meaning also in Sanskrit. So this meaning also we have to use it. Okay. Now, Upadishati means teaching and advising both. Upadesha is a teach, Upadesha is advice. But in fact, we made Upadesha is not even teaching. Upadesha, we made it into a more sacred only, Mantropadesha alone, only there alone. Mantropadesha. Gunasandhi malli vatte. You can write that Gunopadesha. Mantropadesha. Mantra Upadesha, Mantropadesha. Innondu entadi? Hitopadesha, sorry. Hita plus Upadesha, Hitopadesha. This is Gunasandhi. Most of the sandhis are well known in our Indian languages alone. But we think since we have not compiled them, it looks that, we don't know anything. And starts with the principle, becomes very heavy. The difficulty of Sanskrit goes away. Start with your mother tongue. Okay. Next is Upadishati, Upadesha, Upadishati, Dishataha, Dishanti. Okay. To teach and to advise. Then 10th conjugation. One more dhatu is Dhru. Dhru andre dharati, hold, dharayati. Dharayati andre dharan karna. Dharisuvadu. Dharisuvadu in Kannada we say holding, wearing, owing. 3 meanings. One is holding with your hand. Hastena dharayati. Then another thing is wearing clothes, wearing ornaments. You can write it. Wearing clothes, wearing ornament. Holding with your hand. Dharayati, dharati means holding with your hand. Second is dharayati means wearing clothes and ornaments, etc. Another thing is ಒಂದು ಪಾತ್ರವನ್ನು ಧರಿಸುತ್ತಾನೆ. Wears clothes, wears ornaments. He wears a role also in a character in a drama, a role in a drama. Patram dharayati. All that dharayati. Then another thing is owing ಅಂದರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಋಣಿಯಾಗಿರುವುದು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರಿಂದ I have borrowed one money and I still owe him. Dharayati ಅಂದರೆ I still owe him 100 rupees because I borrowed from him. So when you say when you are owe something money to him, that's called dharayati. So dharayati, dhru dharayati, 10th conjugation has 3 meanings. One is holding it with your hand, or wearing like a vastram dharayati. Abharanam has come. Alankara is abharanam. Alankaram dharayati, vastram dharayati, patram dharayati. Patram has not yet come. So then hastena dharayati. When you are holding a pustakam or a phalam va, pustakam phalam hastena dharayati. Another is when he owes some money to him, shatam dharayati. He owes 100 rupees to him. So shatam dharayati, like that. Okay. Now the last 2 words with you. We have taken long time. We'll finish it with this. 3 indeclinables is that. Namas. Namas sakaranta becomes visarga. Namaha. Last word as we have told you. Sa becomes visarga. Namaha is an avyaya. Namaha avyaya governs always chaturthi vibhakti. That you note it. Namaha always governs chaturthi vibhakti. That means yarigi namaha. Whomever you are doing namaskara, that person should be in 4th case. Chaturthi vibhakti. Ramaya namaha. Haraye namaha. Guru has not yet come. Gurave namaha. Gurave is 4th vibhakti. Krishnaya namaha. Devaya namaha. Durjataye namaha. Namaha. Namaha always governs the chaturthi vibhakti. Gurubhyo namaha. Devebhyo namaha. Like that. Nrupataye namaha. Nrupebhyo namaha. When you say acharyebhyo namaha, acharyaya namaha, like that. Suryaya namaha. Ravaye namaha. Ravi ravaye. So here, this namaha always governs chaturthi vibhakti. You can't use it with any other vibhakti. Okay. Vina means without. Vina governs Tritiya Vibhakti always. Te Ramena Vina, Pustakena Vina, Dhanena Vina, without money, without Rama, without like this. Dhanena Vina, Vina always Tritiya Vibhakti. Then Swasti, Swasti governs fourth. Oh, sorry, one more here. Vina governs not only Tritiya, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Panchami. 3 ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಕೆಳಗೆ ಫುಟ್ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ. ದ್ವಿತೀಯ ತೃತೀಯ ಪಂಚಮಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? ರಾಮಂ ವಿನ, ರಾಮೇಣ ವಿನ, ರಾಮಾದ್ವಿನ. ರಾಮಂ ವಿನ, ರಾಮೇಣ ವಿನ, ಅಥವಾ ಧನಂ ವಿನ, ಧನೇನ ವಿನ, ಧನಾದ್ವಿನ. ಧನವಿಲ್ಲದೆ, ವಿತೌಟ್ ಮನಿ. ಧನಂ ವಿನ, ಧನೇನ ವಿನ, ಧನಾದ್ವಿನ. ರಾಮಂ ವಿನ, ರಾಮೇಣ ವಿನ, ರಾಮಾದ್ವಿನ. 3 vibhaktis come. Swasti governs Chaturthi. But Swasti can mean Shashti also. Here is not given. Swasti governs Tasmai Swasti. Avarige Ramaya Swasti. But Prajabhyaha Swasti Prajabhyaha Chaturthi vibhakti. But Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Shashtiyo also is there, but he has not given. But he is covering Swasti governs Chaturthi vibhakti. Hail. Okay, appa. One word, let us see and proceed. We'll stop with this today. Harir Brahmanebhyo Nishkan Yachati. Harihi Brahmanebhyo to the when you are giving, 2 things are here. Giving has two objects. What you give and whom you give. Not this thing. What you give and whom you give. What you give will be Dvitiya Vibhakti. Whom you give will be 4th Vibhakti. Okay? In giving is a double adjective. No, double karma. Dvikarmaka dhatu. Dvikarmaka andre it requires 2 objects. So what is given or whom is given? Okay. So what is given is used in Dvitiya Vibhakti. Whom is given is Chaturthi Vibhakti. In this sentence you see Harihi Yachati. Hari gives. What does he give? Nishkan. Nishkan Dvitiya Vibhakti. Nishkan Yachati. ಯಾರಿಗೆ? ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣೇಭ್ಯ ಚತುರ್ಥಿ ವಿಭಕ್ತಿ. ಸಿ ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣಾಯ ಯಚ್ಚತಿ, ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣಾಯ ಧನಂ ಯಚ್ಚತಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣಾಯ ಪುಸ್ತಕಂ ಯಚ್ಚತಿ. ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಯಚ್ಚತಿ ಅಂದರೆ whom you give will be ಚತುರ್ಥಿ, what you give is ದ್ವಿತೀಯ ವಿಭಕ್ತಿ. So this is the rule, if you remember. That's why he told in this first 9 chapters he uses the vibhakti usage very beautifully. That's a karaka is important. Otherwise sentence you can't make it. Bhandarkar is very beautiful. In the beginning alone he gives a good ground and sandhi as well as the vibhakti. Vibhakti usage he gives very beautifully. Karaka is very. That's why people read lot of books, but again when you come sentence you don't know which vibhakti to use. All get confused. He does very thoroughly. Vibhakti usage is very good. Correctly he used. That's why with these 9 chapters now anything I can say you will understand. Because vibhakti, once you get it, you understand very easily. Therefore, what you give and whom you give. What you give is Dvitiya Vibhakti, whom you give is Chaturthi Vibhakti. Therefore, Harihi Brahmanebhyo Nishkan Yachati. Now, you can translate, but there may be 1 or 2 rules are there. Even if you go wrong, I will tell later. Whatever you know, you do it. 1 or 2 sandhis are there, but now there is no time. Today we'll finish it. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om Tatsat. But Panchami also he's using here. I think Chaturthi Vibhakti will be translated 1 point. I told already Shanti Pata I told, but Chaturthi Vibhakti is translated as for sake of. For sake of, or sometimes to also. To for sake of. Then Panchami Vibhakti from. Panchami Vibhakti is translated as from, then on account of, due to, because of, and then. All these meanings are used in the Panchami Vibhakti. From, due to, on account of, because of, and then. These 4-5 meanings Panchami Vibhakti. For, goes for something, or for him, for sake of it. for sake of, and to. These three meanings for the Chaturthi Vibhakti. Tritiya we have already told. By, with, through, by means of, with the help of, and all that. Dvitiya Vibhakti is an object of a sentence, Prathama Vibhakti is subject of a sentence. So Prathama we understood, Dvitiya understood, Tritiya understood, fourth and fifth. Okay, sixth and seventh remains. We'll see later. This you noted down?
Swamiji.